Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My message this morning is titled, Are We There Yet?
Oh, Lord.
You know, we all tortured our parents with that, didn't we? Going on a trip or just going to the grocery store. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I'm sure probably our kids or grandkids have done the same thing. They've tortured us too. And Sandy, your car is blinded by the light. I just noticed it.
I'll go to them.
Because I move over this way. When I'm over here, I'm fine, but I don't want to be over there. I want to be over here. Anyway, but you know, we truly have to ask ourselves, are we there yet? When we think about our spiritual journey, we don't, you know, we have these moments where we think, oh man, I'm so enlightened. And other moments that what? Not so good, huh? So we work on grasping the concepts behind spiritual principles and stuff we've learned. And yet we can struggle in our everyday living of these truths. I thought this was pretty cool. It's like a golden key that we're trying to grab. But so we find ourselves in these situations that pull us away from actually arriving at that enlightenment. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about today, and how we can figure out ways to get better at not going to those places. And I have to admit, this last week, I had some intense moments that some of you know. And, you know, when you're getting ready for a mega garage sale and you're hot and tired and it's a lot. And, you know, I got irritated at Reverend Warren and kind of like barked at him. But I did apologize to him, and I apologized to everybody else. But in that moment, I'm like, okay, I'm writing about being enlightened and us finding that spiritual journey and staying on that spiritual journey. And here I jump off the track and act like a fool. But you know, if we catch ourselves, we just have to do what we need to do, apologize and move forward, and know that, you know, that is not who we are as a spiritual being. You know, we might have a hiccup or a slip up or whatever, and that's okay too, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. You know, and there are times when we ask ourselves about, are we there yet? And we might get frustrated, or we might experience something like I just described. But what we have to figure out is where there is for us, because each person there is going to be something different. And yes, we can experience there in many different ways and in many different times. It just depends on, I'm laughing because she's moving the car almost exactly the same. We figured out with the glare of the sun, since summer has come, if we park our van right there, it keeps anything from backwards like that, keeps the sun from reflecting in here directly at this platform. Warren, can you tell it? That's not...
I did it.
No, that's okay. He can tell it. But you can see from here, it's like, ah! So anyway, I'm laughing because she thought she moved the car enough, but it's not moved enough.
She turned it off.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm okay. But when we find ourselves struggling, what we need to do is like regroup. You know, we have to kind of take a breath and say, okay, why am I struggling? How did I get here? What is happening right now? All these questions. And so today we're going to synthesize that a little bit and figure out what is happening. I mean, it could be that we have, you know, we have something, a word that we're saying all the time that we're trying to not say anymore. You know, some of those words that just accidentally come out. Or maybe it's a behavior, you know, we're not eating correctly, or we're eating too much, or we're not eating at all. Whatever that is, we're trying to change that. Those things that are there are underlying currents of negative energy that can block us from feeling enlightened, or from really receiving the messages that we need to receive, that our consciousness is being lifted. So all those little things can feel like a river of struggle underneath what we really are trying to be, which is a spiritual being. So we have to address those, and we have to look at them and figure out how we can get through that and not end up in that same place. So how do we continue our growth on a spiritual path and know if we've gotten there yet? Because that's a whole other thing itself too, isn't it? How do we know? How do we know you know, I mean, oh wow, that was a great message. But how do we know that it really enlivened us? You feel it, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
You can sense it in your consciousness. You can walk out and feel lighter or a new person or like, oh, I'm going to make the right choices today because that really felt good. And we can do this with our everyday living if we try to. But it's important for us to synthesize and see and discover for ourselves all these little phases of our life or things in our life that we need to correct or that can help us raise up higher in consciousness. And we have to discover those things in our life because I say that helps us discern. Discover and discern are synonyms. So we discern then, is that a good thing, bad thing? Am I going on the path of spiritual enlightenment or is it taking me down? And that takes some time. It takes a little bit. But how can we prioritize where we are going? And what spiritual principles can we look at? First, we have to determine what and where there is. Is there your job, your home, your family, your relationships, your spiritual journey, or maybe all of the above? Because any one of those areas are going to affect where you're at on your spiritual journey. You know, Reverend Warren and I have heard this so many times. People say, oh, I hate my job. I just hate it. Of course, you know I don't like the word hate. But they'll say, oh, I hate my job, but I got to have it. Heard a lady out there at the sale the other day. She's a mail person. But I need this job. I gotta have the money. But I don't like it. I just not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it the first year. She said, and she just kept saying that. Well, guess what? No, and guess what? Whatever new job she gets next, she's gonna be feeling the same way because she isn't clearing the space of those negative thoughts that are keeping her from seeing the good. I mean, all she said was, oh, I need the money. Well, that's not going to be enough to keep you happy or make you move. You've got to look at each area of your life and say, if there's something in there that isn't right, we have to work on taking it out and moving beyond that. And maybe you don't like your job, but you better find something that's good in the job right now before you quit or get fired or whatever. Say you hate it or dislike it or whatever. Because you have to start focusing on the good in every situation. Maybe you don't like your home anymore. Well, what is it in your home that you love? And focus in on that and celebrate that. And then guess what? You're on the spiritual path of bringing more of the good into you. And the doors will open wide, just like that song. Those doors will swing open wide for the universe to give you more good. But we are the ones that control all that. So, when Reverend Warren and I, here's those questions up next. How can we prioritize our lives to get where we want to go? What spiritual principles can we use to make it happen? And Reverend Warren and I, these are great questions, and I'm going to give you a little thing here in a minute. When we officiate a wedding, we always meet with the couple, and we give them a little test. I think the only people in here that have ever had the test is Lynn and Kat, right? That's right. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, we give them a little test, and the test is supposed to help them see what is important in their life. And I call it a priority chart. But, you might have never thought that you would have a pop quiz in church. But I got one for you today. So Maria and I think Dee Dee are going to pass these out for you. Just take one and then get you a pen in front of you. One for you. One for you. I'll give you one. There we go. Okay, it's just a little quiz, and there's some words on here, and I'm going to show you up here. Here's the priority quiz. And so what you're going to do, you got to listen to the instructions. These are 1 through 12. 1 being the most important, 12 being the least important. And it's not don't stress, don't make your mind go crazy. What you're going to do is just put a 1 through 12 next to each thing. So whatever's the most important is going to be number 1. Whatever's in your life. The next thing is going to be number 2. So keep going like that, okay? And I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. I should have put some music on. Da, 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 da.
What one is
the most important thing in your life.
in 12 would be.
is the least important thing in your life. Got me? Okay.
Are you doing it?
I was going to, but not, yeah. Don't overthink it either.
You're gonna see mine when you also do it.
Oh, good, we already passed the test, so.
Yeah. But listen, this is different. This is not for your marriage. This is for your individual growth. So you need to take it again. Yeah, you do. Thank you. Here, let me have all those. Did you put them all together? Here's, Dee Dee, you need this for flex. Huh?
Yeah, you have family twice.
I do? Oh, it's
Just mark
probably,
one out.
no, look up there. Oh, it is up there twice.
Just mark one out.
That's weird. It could have been like that from the very beginning. That's really weird.
Hint, hint.
Well, you might like some of your family better than others.
Off to the side, you can put which family. That's hilarious.
Drops off quick.
You're not allowed to make comments.
Do we have to sign?
No, this is for your own self.
I wanna see yours, Jan.
You're not allowed to badger people. Okay, don't overthink it, guys. Don't overthink it. Everybody done? Who left the room? Oh, Bill. Are you still struggling?
Yes.
It's supposed to be quick, quick, quick.
Hey, can we put health in place of?
No addition.
You know what? I bet that's what I bet that's what was supposed to be in there
We
was
can't
health.
add it now or miss.
I'm not, I'm gonna add it now. I'm just saying, I'm gonna fix it for the next time I do this. But since it's not on there, we won't use it.
Oh, okay.
We're not gonna use it right now. That could be somebody's number one. All right, everybody done? Okay, Forevermore is the only one waiting.
Me too.
Okay,
I'm trying to think of what number.
what was everybody's number one? Or somebody want to share? Huh?
Love.
Love?
Love for me
Love?
too.
Huh?
Love for me is love.
Okay,
Well, mine was religion and spiritual beliefs.
okay.
Primarily.
Yeah, now, if, on the religion and spiritual beliefs, if I would have put God, would that have changed what your number one was?
No.
No, because God is love.
God is love, yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that. Now, don't keep throwing away your paper,
I
Vincent.
did it the wrong way.
It's okay, you know you did it wrong, you're gonna fix it.
You can get another one.
I got a lot of number ones and a lot of 12.
I like that, I like that.
Here's a new one for you. Retake the quiz.
Follow directions very well.
Okay,
Sure,
so,
me.
so the thing about it is, you find out for yourself what your priorities are, then that's gonna help you figure out where you go from there, where your journey takes you. If it's number one, then you know you have nothing to worry about. If it's number two, you have nothing to worry about. But number 12, you might need to look at a little bit, right? It might be something that you need to give some attention to, or maybe there's something in there buried down in your psyche that is causing a block in that area. Maybe it's just one of those things that, hey, you know, who cares? I mean, you know, I can't remember what my number 12 was. I just wrote it, but do you think I remember? Oh, age. You know, to me, age has never been a thing. I don't see people's age. I see them just as energy. You know, I don't see that they're old or whatever, because I've seen people that are, well, look at Giselle. She runs circles around a lot of people. You do. And I'm not saying you're old. I'm just saying you go around saying you're old. She'll say, I'm an old lady. I said, no, you're not. You know, so she works in her garden every day and all that good stuff. I'm just saying, it's a way to look at what is important in your life and how you can find balance. And so once we can determine that, it helps us move forward. And it helps us to look at this from time to time and not just get hung up on what we've written today, because tomorrow, I guarantee you might have different answers. And if you're in a relationship, and when we use this for couples, we tell them they don't have to match up with somebody else. You just need to find the balance. You know, I might be stronger in love than Warren is, but I'm teasing. But you know, I'm just saying though that it's, you know, you find the balance. You find balance in these areas, and that's what helps you. And you do that with your friends. You do it with your family. You know, if there's an area that you just love, you're gonna be jumping to go do something like that or whatever. If one of your higher numbers was family, you're going to be at every reunion. You're going to be at every Sunday dinner. You're going to be, you know, going here and there because that's important to you. So, you know, and you can help others feel better about their choices too. But if you choose, okay, so that we already went over that. Okay, and like I said, it's not like we're trying to pump one. What does that say? Bump one down to move one up. No, we're just trying to find equal ground for all of them so we can enjoy all areas of our lives. Because that's where we miss out on our spiritual journey. If we are focusing just on the top 4, then we're missing out on a plethora of stuff that could happen on a spiritual journey, like say for, you know, whatever item you're looking at. Maybe friendship, you know, is down on your list. You're more of an introvert. Well, if you don't have any outside friendships, you might not ever explore, you know, going to the park and walking with somebody or whatever. I'm just saying. But all of this is about the idea of rounding ourselves out and finding all the gifts that we are meant to be sharing on this earth. And that's important for us. I like, whoops, don't ask me where I'm at all, because I don't know. Yeah, see, there you go. Aligning the areas in our lives brings us a spiritual balance of beingness beyond everyday living. That's what we're striving for. That's where we're trying to lift that consciousness up to. And God gives us that ability every moment of the day. Every moment of the day. A true spiritual person is always seeking and growing while synthesizing and incorporating what they learn and experience into their own life. Are we doing that? You got to say yes, because I know you are. I'll claim it for you. You might not feel like it sometimes, but you are. You're taking and synthesizing what I'm saying today. Y'all did the quiz, right? And Mickey has to do it twice. But we're still synthesizing. We're still getting there. I found this quote by Eleanor Roosevelt that said, "The purpose of life, after all, is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experiences." Can we do that?
Yes.
I mean, that's important. That's important for us to experience new and exciting experiences without fear. Fear's the thing that could stop you in a moment. And we've got to jump over that hurdle and activate faith in that moment. And if we can do that, because if we can do that, we can come closer to being there where we want to be. Because, you know, our journey doesn't have a beginning and an end, believe it or not. You know, we move on in energy, and we flow through everything that has happened in our lives to this moment, and we're going to flow through the rest of it too, whatever happens, until we become one with God. And even in the spiritual realm, you know, we all have felt the energy of someone else after they've made their transition. So we know there's no end. It goes on. And we are the only ones that can close off that path. We are the only ones that can stop ourselves from growing any further. And if we don't listen and we don't follow that path, then our lives get miserable and uncomfortable. And I don't want to see anybody struggle. I don't want to see anybody fall to the part where fear is taking over, or the pain is taken over, or our hesitation has taken over your life where you're not fully living it. Because we are put here to live life. And when we've gotten to that place of being there, we will know it. I added this to my talk because I thought it was important. There was a young woman that came up, and Sue Ann was helping her with the books, and she suggested the Lambs of Bible. And the girl picked it up, and she started reading it. She goes, "Oh, I don't want that. That's scary." And I just happened to walk by when she said it, and I said, "Scary? How could this be scary?" I said, "The man that wrote this grew up with Arabic language in his life, and he translated the original Bible." She had in her mindset the only Bible on this earth is the King James Version, yeah. And I said, it's a beautiful thing to read it, because I said it can give you a new perspective. And she said, oh no, I think that we need to stick to the Bible, right? That's what she said. And so then I said, there are a lot of versions of the Bible. And I said, the cool thing is that if you don't like thou and thou'st and all that, I said, then you can switch to some other Bible that's easier for you to read, And there's so many different ones. I feel like that's putting the word out there better than sticking to something that people are going, what are they talking about? And so she looked at me kind of cuckoo, and then she started talking back to Sue Ann. I don't know what you guys talked about after that, because I gently walked away, because I thought, there's no convincing this girl, but there's no way she's there, that she is there where we are there, because she's blocked off a whole lifetime of stuff that could enrich her spiritual journey. And that's what's scary and sad. If we get stuck in a pattern of thinking, that narrow thinking that blocks you from seeing beyond what you know to be true. And I knew that she's not there yet, but all of us are doing better. Oh, I hate to do this to you, Warren. We got another car.
Oh, well.
And I'm not putting, that's in the way of the light. The blinding.
Well, I don't know how to do it.
I'm not placing judgment on her. What I did in that moment is I lifted her up in prayer. I wanted to see and send her lots of love and lots of beholding the Christ in her, so that she could open up. She was young. Yeah. She was probably in her 20s, don't you think? Late 20s, early 30s, yeah. So, I wanted to see her open up and see beyond that wall that she had built, and that's what I'm hoping for her. You see, I feel like we are there when we can see beyond ourselves at the higher picture of life. I call it like an upper view. I love those. I love those droids. Yeah, a little bit more. There you go. Just a little bit more. There you go. Perfect. He's gonna stand there, I guess. Sorry, all those at home. You just don't understand what that feels like, though. Have you looked at the bright sun and looked down at somebody and you can't see anybody? It's like spots. But I love those droid videos. You guys ever watch those things? I mean, people will take those droids and take them up and then take videos of areas. Drones. Anyway, they'll be up and looking at the whole thing, and the perspective is so cool. And it's like, and it's just floating around, and you're seeing everything different than you had seen before. And I just love it. And I think of this as being the upper view. Like, we are up looking at what's going on, but we're having this awesome, beautiful experience. Instead of physically being tangled up in what is happening, we're enjoying the beauty of it. And if we could do that all the time with everyday living, our lives would be improved, wouldn't they? We wouldn't get bogged down with stuff. We would feel enlightened all the time, because we'd be feeling like we were up like this. Well, you might be wondering, how do we go deeper in thought to produce or manifest our dreams and desires and know we are there? And this is a tricky thing, but it's not impossible, okay? It's not impossible at all, because here's some steps you can take. We figure out our priorities by using the chart. So if you're struggling one day, pull out your chart and Put new numbers down and see what's happening. A lot of times that reveals a lot, because what it'll do is trigger something in your mind, your small m mind, that is something that is in there that you have forgotten about, or that your consciousness is holding on to. So it can change everything. And then we ask ourselves questions while listening for the answers. This is important, because you could ask yourself questions all day long, but if you're not listening for the answers, it's not going to resolve itself, is it? So those questions are, why is this important? Why is that important right now? What is it in those items that is important, and why is that important? So like, say all of a sudden you look at, I'm just jumping on something, relationship is an important thing right now. Why is that an important thing right now? Ask yourself that, and then you might not get an answer right away, but driving down the street, something might come to you, and you'll realize, oh wow, I didn't call that person back. Or, oh, I kind of cut that person off in conversation. Or it's a reflection of your own self to improve your own self. What spiritual principles, laws, and or divine ideas align with this priority? Ask yourself those questions too, because if you're just sitting there answering it for the physical sense, then you're not going to really improve or grow. And if you want to remember these questions, I'd say take a picture of it right now before I flip the thing. But when we do that with one priority, then we need to do it with each priority that pops up for us. Don't stop with that one. You know, figure out, okay, maybe take the top 4 that you picked. And if it's some of the ones you've already picked before, then, you know, maybe there's not something there. Who knows? But we continue to go through the list and evaluate ourselves and figure out what our priorities are and how we can improve our lives from that standpoint. And when, how do we find balance? I just said that. When we arrive at the point when we have looked at them all, we can know the answer to the question, are we there yet? Thank you for being here today.